Okay, Ms. Peterson.
Yes.
Okay, well, first off, thank you for coming. Hopefully you'll find a friendly interview to fill the vacancy for the District 3 seat. The process is pretty straightforward. You'll have 15 minutes. Each council member will have a question for you. I suggest to you that the time you spend on each answer is the discipline for you, because we have to make sure you get all the questions in 15 minutes. Okay. All of the activity tonight is being recorded on TV, and it'll be shown in its entirety after all of the candidates have been interviewed. That way nobody gets an advantage of knowing any of the process here. Like I say, your 15 minutes will begin with the first question, and as I said, you'll have 15 minutes for the interview. So we're going to start the first question with Dr. Trout.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for coming before us to become, hopefully, a member of the Bowie City Council for District 3. My question is, what do you think is the most important issue in Bowie, and how do you plan to make improvements?
So for me, the most important issue in Bowie is the budget. I do believe that we have already seen that we're coming into a time period where we have to begin to take money from our general fund, and that we have to consider how much money to leave there, whether we need to raise taxes, what type of development that we need to do, and other activities to raise money so that it comes in from a variety of places, not just the property taxes. So I do think the budget is the key area for our citizens. Of course, that ends up bleeding into all the other areas in many ways, but I think what we need to do from a budget perspective is to really look at how do we want to develop when we try to make decisions now, how those decisions are going to affect us in the future. So one of those decisions, I can give the ice rink as one of the examples, understanding that we need it not to be a deficit. We needed to make a decision that is going to allow us to bring in additional monies, at the same time making sure that we are paying attention to where our citizens are. So when it comes to the budget, I think sound decision making is going to be important. I am one that looks at all the facts as it relates to the budget challenges. There's a lot of goals and plans that we put out there from an environmental perspective, from a recreation perspective, that will also count things that we need to plan for from a budget perspective. So that's what I bring to the table as far as the budget is concerned.
Thank you. Mr. Gordon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you very much, Ms. Peterson, for coming out this evening. My question starts with more or less a statement. It is my opinion that local government is the most important level of government. Explain why you either agree with me or disagree.
That is a good question. So I've worked both with the federal government and the local government. I've been on the National Security Council as well as the National Economic Council, working for both President Obama as well as for President Trump, and I have advised them on policies that have been implemented throughout the federal government. And those things move and help and support the taxpayers, I think, at very broad levels. But I do believe, and this is why I work both at the federal level as well as I'm the chair of the Financial Advisory Committee for the City of Bowie, another reason why I think the budget is very important. I believe that you have to work at both. But everything is local, and as you look at how do we move forward in a variety of directions, transportation, how do we design our cities, how do we bring our development to our cities, all of those things affect the corporate level, and actually it really is what affects the citizens. It's really not, I don't want to downplay what we do at the federal level, but the city level is extremely important, and I guess I would agree that it is the city level that is significant.
Thank you very much.
But I do think we need good leaders at all levels.
Absolutely.
Because I think that's important to move our society forward.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Wolford.
Well, thank you for coming. Appreciate you spending the time with us this evening, and we appreciate your offer for serving the community as well. So thank you again. My question is, to date, how have you chosen to serve the city of Bowie? For example, have you served on city committees, run for office, been on the homeowners association, PTA, or the like? And how will your service help you represent your constituents in the future?
Okay. So I'm Miss Bowie in my mind. Because of the excellence in service just nationally, and I just believe that Bowie residents are a beacon of light wherever we go. But for me and for Bowie, I'm a business owner in Bowie, and so I am minority woman-owned business in Bowie, so I believe in the business aspect of Bowie and helping to bring businesses, ensure businesses are in Bowie. I am the founder of a nonprofit that is in Bowie, and that nonprofit in Bowie has put forth, I'm the founder of the first charter school in Prince George's County. Got residents from over 300 residents to pool together in order to start the school, in order to help raise children who know their purpose, their character, and have the skills to walk it out, because I find in leadership we need people to have all three of those things in order to be successful. In Bowie, I've served for 5 years on the Financial Advisory Committee for the City of Bowie. I've been the chair of the Financial Advisory Committee for 3 years. I serve my children. I have 7 children and a mom, and so my 4 children, 3 of my children go to Bowie High School. They've been in the Boys and Girls Club. My mother goes to the Senior Citizen. I believe in a multi-generational society, and I think as we all work together, so I believe in supporting and helping at various levels throughout Bowie, and not just to be focused myopically on one area, although I've served in that one area.
Very good. Thank you. Mr. Stead.
Good evening. The Sears location at Bowie Town Center is closing. The owners of the property are planning on establishing a mixed-use development at the site. What are your thoughts on the matter?
So I attended the mixed-use meeting and heard the plan that they've laid out for bringing a hotel as well as some services where you would have businesses so that you can work, you can eat there, you can have an open area there. I talked to them after. I felt, one, this is a new venture for them. They're looking to close down different Kmart's or, can't remember the other area, but Sears. Close them down and then to build this tighter community. But they don't have a long history of having done it and the outcome of success, because this is a new thing, and I understand that. So I think, but I do think having an area that has all these things in one place allows the community to be serviced in a magnificent way. So I do think it's important to have a nice community area that everyone can come to. He talked about in the day and in the night that it would be a different type of environment and where they can eat out and things of that nature. So I did enjoy the presentation. I was really taken aback as we listened to all the citizens, and I contributed as a citizen as well. I felt as though this particular developer actually listened to the citizens. So my hope is that some of the recommendations that were made, some of the concerns that were raised, will really be part of their thinking behind what we do there. I do think the 11 acres is a small footprint in order to do such a large project. So I would be really interested in what their plans are around making that really work, because it sounded good on paper, and they hadn't really pointed to different projects that we could actually go see where it's been done and where the finances continue to come in. I felt concerned that they said the reason they couldn't do it is because they couldn't bring the big businesses in, and so I was a little concerned that whether they were going to be able to go out there and continue to bring in the smaller retailers that they were looking for. I just wanted to hear more, and I'm sure we'll have, this was just an introductory meeting, so I'm not gonna, give any stamp of approval or disapproval on such things, but it was good it was a good start. I am really concerned about 2 years of not having anyone in that building at all. I do think something should and could be done about that. I am really concerned that it will sit there empty, and I don't want that to be the case, because Bowie is moving forward, and I want us to be seen as that as well. So hopefully that answered your question, and hopefully that better answered the other question.
Thank you. Mr. Marcos?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Mrs. Peterson, for being here tonight and your interest. I have a two-part question. You touched on some of the first part with the previous question, so listen carefully to the second part. How do you feel about going forward with residential and commercial development in Bowie? And what do you think the relationship between the county and Bowie should be with regards to development?
So, wow, to me that touches on a couple of things. So when it comes to development, one of the things that we've been doing is annexing some areas in as well. And so that's a relationship right there with the county, and how we take on additional land and how we begin to use that land. I think that I'm a little concerned, and I know this is probably not your question, but because the police have to expand, and one of the biggest expenses that we have is our police department. We had a great meeting with the chief, and he kind of walked us through everything that he was doing, how he was going to cover the different territory that we were beginning to annex in, and how important it was to continue to make sure that there was ample space. But that, again, is this kind of partnership and our ability to, when we develop, take on maybe services and additional issues that the county would have ordinarily been responsible for in that regard. But I think also, and I'm not sure, you may be looking for something specific, so I don't know, but when I think about development in the county as well, there are certain things I know from an environmental perspective that we want to see, whether that's, LED lights or energy efficiency or transportation, and some of those incentives are disincentives for us to move in those directions. And so it's going to take a larger community in order to kind of work on those types of issues. Also, from a development, there's incentives that people have been asking, what is the county looking for in its overall master plan as well, the things that it wants to see. And I think there's sometimes we're right in line with each other, and there's a tension between what we would like to see and with the county. So I believe we continue to reach out to them, and where there is synergy, that we try to do our best to get the most for our citizens.
Thank you very much.
Good, thank you. All right, this is the last thing. I was just going to see if you have a last thought you'd like to leave with the council.
So I actually have prepared, because I thought I had a 2-minute presentation at the beginning, so I will touch on a few of those things at the end. So as you know, I do believe that I am an excellent candidate for a councilwoman for District 3 for the city of Bowie. I do believe, because I have business acumen, clearly I have political acumen and leadership, and I've demonstrated that, as I mentioned before, in the councils, at the National Economic Council, as well as at the White House. But I've also studied Bowie. I've listened to almost every council meeting that has gone forth, and I see a couple of things that I would like to continue to see here in Bowie. But I do bring professionalism, I bring character, I bring the ability to look at facts and move forward across a range of everything that I've ever touched or implemented. It has been not only approved at the highest levels, but it's been able to be implemented at the lowest levels in order to get it actually done. So I am confident beyond measure that I bring excellence to Bowie, bar none, for the work that has to be done in Bowie. When I think about when I think about Bowie, I talked about the multi-generational aspect, but I really think about what decisions we make today are really going to affect our tomorrow. And so there is, we're going to about 2023, we're going to be at like 39% instead of closer and closer to that 25% of our general fund. We really do have to begin to think about how we move. And it's a decision. It's like a crossroads. We have 800 new residents that are coming in that are much more of the lower income residents. We have to think about how do we handle this and how do we see Bowie. I have seen lots of residents, and I'll be quick, have a different vision for Bowie than other residents. They're young residents. They're trying to move in a more progressive direction and more development and have more amenities in a different way. I love that when we talk about working with the county and others, that we are getting grants for like Allen Pond, and that we do have an opportunity to make it so that part of our city maintains that neighborhood, that residential feel, so that our families can come and say, you know, you don't invite somebody to your church if you really don't like it. Right? You might stay yourself, but you don't say come to where I live. But with Bowie, we say come to where I live. And the things that happen here, the services that are provided, the way the council, even when you're not in agreement, the integrity, the politeness, the way you interact, even when you're mad, is admirable. And so I believe I am known as the consummate collaborator, but I am also a very effective administrator. So I look forward to your consideration here. I wish we had more time together, but I thank you for your time. And I just enjoyed this, I'll be honest with you.
All right, well, we
Jeff.
thank you very much. I appreciate you coming out on a fine evening like this.
Okay.
And we'll hopefully make a decision. We have tonight and tomorrow night to finish up some interviews, so we'll probably try to get back to everybody very quickly.
Perfect. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.